Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are discussing The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 3, The Power Broker.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
And in our producer chair today, we have Jay, Scotty, St. Clair. How you doing, buddy?
Doing excellent. Thank you kindly for having me back.
Thank you kindly.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to have you. Wonderful to have you, my friend. We just watched episode 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think this is my favorite episode yet.
I mean, they're all my favorite episode yet.
That is fair.
Yeah. In this episode, we got to see just a whole bunch of awesome going on. Like, there was a little bit of story, a teensy little sprinkling of story to get us going, but then there were just like so many like awesome, cool, and a whole lot of characterization building for our boy Zemo, right?
Yeah, you are correct. Yeah. There was a lot of awesome, cool this episode.
Awesome, cool.
TM, Jeff Randall, awesome, cool. That's what all the kids are saying these days.
Yeah, that's what I call my guns.
Awesome and cool.
This one's awesome and cool.
Well,
it's like they were fighting me.
I don't know if it was a limited amount of story. It was definitely like expositional, one step to the next. It felt like a procedural cop show in the beginning, where they're going, this clue leads to this person, leads to that. Who is this lady? Who's Madani? Which I was like, Madani, it's got to be Punisher's friend.
I know that name.
I've heard of a Madani before.
Yep.
It's all connected, man.
It has to be.
Yeah, for sure. But I do think that a lot was unveiled this episode. There's a lot of interesting characters going on here. The work they did with Sharon is huge. She's changed so much since we last saw her. Introducing Zemo, finding out where the super soldiers came from. All this stuff, man. It's a lot. There's a lot to what was happening this episode. What about you, Jay Scotty? What are your initial thoughts?
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, in the first 2 episodes, we got to spend time, individually with Falcon and Bucky, and then the second episode, it was kind of them reuniting and the initial growing pains of their relationship. But it was actually nice to see them as a team, just full-fledged in the action, and then we get to spend more time with these excellent characters like Sharon, like Zemo, and then I was just blown away by Madripoor. It's so visually stimulating. We got a lot of funny humor there, like that. Zemo dancing has got to be a gif, but
for sure.
The music, man, Henry Jackman's music.
I think Zemo looking out over the dance floor and rubbing his hands together. That's what got me. And it's Zemo sort of we've only seen Zemo on a vengeance quest. That's all we've seen him, and we know now that he was this aristocrat who likes the high life and knows Madripoor and he's a high life millionaire or whatever, and he's jet setting in his private jet, and he clearly loves the dance floor and loves the ladies, and he just I don't know, whatever. He was a married man back before, but he clearly he's had, I guess he probably wasn't blipped. He seems like he's had some time to get over the death of his family a little bit. And he's kind of getting out there. I'm just enjoying his life and his drinks. And I loved it. I really, really enjoyed Zemo, getting a chance to know Zemo when he's not just single focused, I guess.
Right. When he's got a little bit more to chew on around him.
Yeah. They're built. You normally build a character and then you put them through stuff. And that is the way they're a protagonist. You get to know them and then they go through things. But Zemo in this episode feels like we're finally getting to know him, what he is like, even though we knew kind of what he's been through and his struggles with his death of his family and his vengeance quest and all that stuff. And now he's just being Zemo, and I just loved it.
He basically did the opposite of build the character, put him through things. It's he's been through things, and now they're building the character.
Exactly. Because he was interesting in Civil War, but he wasn't. There were no idiosyncrasies or quirks to him. He was very I'm a soldier after Tony Stark, or after all of the Avengers.
Yeah, and it was, that was one of the gripes of Civil War, is that there wasn't much dimension to Zemo. His plan was super convoluted, and I feel like in this episode we finally get to see just like why all of his plans were super convoluted, because this guy is playing 10-dimensional chess, and we're over here just trying to play checkers on the dance floor.
He's constantly taking in more information than he's giving out. Zemo's a really interesting character. I kept noticing he was asking questions or listening to people having conversations and he's not really telling anyone anything about himself or his plans or his goals.
And I love that he's doing just little things throughout Madripoor, like just dropping little bits of information that, like, he knows people are listening, and so he'll say something, kind of acting like he's talking to his friends, but it's really just to get the word like dispersed in the room. And like you can tell that he is completely in control of like everybody in this room.
It's a good point.
When they walked into the bar, he was like, "Are you ready to comply, Winter Soldier?" And everybody's like, "Fuck, is that the Winter Soldier? Is that the Winter Soldier?" Like,
yeah. It's like he has complete control of the information he is giving out, and no one else does. And he is just a sponge for everything that's going on, and then he's taking it, he's only letting out what he wants to let out to, like, drop, whether it's fake or real information. He's putting it out there to, like, seed the actions that he wants people to take. Yeah, Zemo's a super fascinating character in this episode. I'm excited.
He sees all of the web and knows exactly which threads to pull.
Absolutely.
That's Zemo.
I love it.
And like the whole episode, I kept expecting him to, like, something will happen, he'll betray and run away, and like, that's how he escapes. But like, he didn't do that. They didn't play on that trope, and it was great.
Right.
And like, he shows up with the car, and he's just like supercharged. Like, I like this car,
Well, it's like, for whatever reason, he thinks he's still in control enough to stick around with these guys, or he thinks he needs them enough to stick around with these guys, but he clearly doesn't find them much of a threat. Like, he's like, I could have escaped now, sure, but I can escape later. You know what I mean? Like, he's not worried about it. He's sticking with them. He just took out the guy who created the super soldiers, and he is ready to take out the other 20. Okay. Let's send Jay Scotty to his feedback cave so he can collect the feedback from the live watch. Thank you, Jay Scotty, for your thoughts on the beginning of this.
Yeah, off to the cave. Hopefully there's a box of scraps for me. If not, I'll keep myself occupied with the comments. Bye!
Bye, you guys! I think that's how the phrase goes, right?
Yeah,
we'll take it.
Sure.
We'll take it.
For sure.
Pandas never say die.
Do the truffle shuffle.
No, I shouldn't.
No, thank you.
Okay, let's get back to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What do we think? What do we think of what else? What other big things did we see? We haven't really talked to John Walker yet. Sharon Carter much.
Well, can I throw out a bold theory here? I'd like to throw out a bold theory here.
Please.
I think that Sharon Carter is going to be revealed to be the power broker.
I think everyone is thinking that. Yeah, we actually talked about it while you were off.
It's a very, very bold, only me kind of theory. I'm putting it on the board. I'm taking credit for it.
As soon as that person came and picked her up and appeared to be like her, like serving her, she seemed to like open the door for her. I was like, oh, she's totally. Yeah, she's either working for the power broker or is the power broker, which is, I think, more likely.
Yeah. Well,
she even has a place in Hightown or whatever. Like, it just sounds.
Yeah, she's got the nice place in Hightown. Whenever Sam brought up that Carly Morgenthau stole the samples, the thing, like, she wasn't like, I've heard that name before, or I know who that is, or who the hell is that? Like, any of those responses, it was just telling them, please stay out of this, or please get out of this for your own safety.
Yeah, she's definitely taken a dark turn, even if she's not the power broker, which I think you're right. I really do think she is. Even if she's not, I mean, she's like also taken a dark turn, and I'm excited about it.
The scientist, Nagel was his name.
Uh-huh.
He used to work for Hydra, and then when Hydra dissolved, he got picked up by the CIA, which is who Sharon worked for in Civil War. And then she became enemy of the state. he got dusted, but she was on the run for 2 years before all of that happened. If she didn't get dusted, then she's had 7 years to set up this power broker persona.
Yeah, and you think about that 7 years, like, if they haven't really seen Sharon in 7 years, then that's a long time, and it to them it feels like they just left her, but to her
Right.
it feels like it's, she's a long time and has gone a long way toward a new life, and she's definitely coming back. I was nervous when she was like, I can't go with you guys, da 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 da. I was like, okay, well, now they're just setting up a Sharon Carter show for later, and we're not going to get any more Sharon Carter, but I think we are. I think we're getting more Sharon Carter.
Well, IMDb shows that Sharon Carter is supposed to be in 4 episodes
right.
of the show.
Sometimes that's right, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah. And I was like, assuming that's correct, how are they going to get her in more episodes of this without her being, tracking somebody or, in league with someone?
Yeah.
But honestly, she likes the idea of the pardon. If she can get the pardon, then she can come back and do business in the United States.
Right.
And I like that. Oh man, I'm more and more on she's the power broker now. Like, yeah,
I think she is. She either is or is working for the power broker. I think that's like a really good call.
Yep. If you remember, everyone else who has never met the power broker always calls the power broker him, refers to power broker as him, but Carly never gives a gendered pronoun. She says the power broker. Like, when the guy was like, the power broker is going to be after us, we can't outrun the power broker forever. Carly was like, the power broker will come begging because Nagel just got killed. Like, she specifically said the power broker will come begging.
Right. So there have been people who have said it was a he, that the power broker was a he, but right. Carly might know better because I don't know.
She's actually met.
She stole from him or her. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird if a bunch of people that live in the town with the power broker call him a him, unless that's just her fake persona that she puts on.
I mean, do you really think that a town full of lawless pirates is going to look at Emily Van Camp, Sharon Carter, right, and be like, power broker?
Right. Yeah, it's
because,
I mean,
sexism.
Right. Because sexism. And also, I don't know, she's like this American, like, goody two shoes, ex-CIA person or whatever. Man. Yeah, I'm so fascinated by her character. She came in real hot with all that violence, and
she did.
And she just came in really interesting, and like,
I love her sass,
deep, I guess. Yeah,
like Sharon Carter, more like Bayron Carter. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure. Also, we talked a lot during WandaVision about how could the Avengers let Vision's body go to the government or go to Sword, but like, how did none of the Avengers ever try to stand up for Sharon? For Sharon,
yeah. Sharon Carter was put on the run, and then the people who would have defended her were also on the run for 2 years, and the only reason they came back is because Thanos was coming, and they immediately got snapped. So
right, it makes me wonder what happened in those 5 years. We still don't really know, but it's like Cap. It still seems to be
Cap
working.
Wasn't gone. He should have stood up for her.
Cap's still
Damn
there.
it, Cap.
Come on, Cap. You're letting Sharon go to jail. You're letting Vision's body get taken off the field by Sword. Like, what is happening, Captain America? You're supposed to be the best of us.
Captain America dropped the ball in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. It just sounds like one of those situations where there's a lot going on, and she got lost in the shuffle. I mean, for that matter, she'd also maybe she disappeared. Maybe the fact that she's living in Madripoor on the run, like they think maybe she's gone. Maybe if no one's heard from her, it's very likely they thought she blipped or something. I
think it'd be really funny if she's already been pardoned. Like if Sam goes to be like, hey, can you pardon Sharon Carter? And they're like, no, she's been pardoned, man. She just never came back.
Right. Of course, now that I think about it, she did help. She helped Cap to run away with Bucky, which just ended with the Civil War fight. They didn't really do anything to save anything after that point. You know what I mean? Like I never really thought about this, but the whole Civil War thing, because the whole MacGuffin is the super soldiers. The whole Civil War thing, I've never really thought about how little the heroes do for the good of humanity in that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all very much for their own peace of mind or their friends.
It's for their beef. It's like all about building that beef, which is what I love about that movie. Because I thought you're in the movie theater, they have this whole misdirect of these super soldiers they're after, and you're like, okay, it's going to be the thing where they fight at the airport and then they come together to fight the super soldiers when they need to. But no. Those super soldiers are dead. They get there and they fight each other. I know I'm relitigating Civil War, but I never really thought about how like there really isn't anything to give her a pardon for. Like she helped one of the sides in this battle that never ended up trying to do anything good. Like it's not like she made a bet to try to like stop these super soldiers, but those super soldiers didn't exist, or they weren't there. Yeah. So she didn't do any good. So now that I think about it, why would you pardon her? like it's kind of a tough sale. I mean, like I could see a Captain America making a case for her and being like, if I'm coming in, she's coming in, or something like that. But like at the same time, I could see the government being like, she like broke her oath to the CIA and like sent you guys on a mission that like was not good for you, in any way.
Yeah. She stole wings for your ass to save your ass from his ass.
Yeah, that you guys were just having a playground fight, and she helped you have that fight. Like, she fell for Zemo's trick and then didn't do anything to actually help the world. So yeah, that's fair. That's maybe it's all fair. Maybe it's fair.
Maybe she doesn't deserve a pardon.
Yeah, maybe she deserves to go off and become a supervillain like the Power Broker.
Yeah. That's the betrayal. That's a betrayal that we were waiting for in Civil War. It's happening now like this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. So what else we got? This episode? Have we talked much about John Walker at all?
I mean, they didn't talk about John Walker in the episode very much. He got spit in his face and pulled out his true colors of like, you know who I am? And he's trying to wave that Captain America dick around, and it's not working for him. Because the guy was just like, I do, and I don't care. Like, ooh, what are you gonna do? There's people here to watch. There's witnesses here. You can't just beat him up.
It is weird. He really crossed the line in a couple of ways this episode. It's like the "Do you know who I am?" is pretty oof. He's just very prideful. He's very willing. Steve was always this humble guy who was reluctant to take the shield, but he did what he had to do good for the world. This guy is, I don't know. He is very much taking on the mantle of Captain America and using it for his own, glory. If that makes sense, his own glorification as a person. Yeah. He's very willing to use it that way, which does feel very strange.
Yeah, and the way that he said to Hoskins, I'm not calling him Battlestar. The way that he said to Hoskins, as long as we get the job done, do you think they're gonna give us flack for how, or do you think they're gonna? Yeah, do you think they're gonna sweat us for how?
That's some villain
that's
stuff
not something,
right there.
That's not something Cap would have said. That's not something Cap would have believed.
No, I mean, he would have done what he had to do to get some jobs done. He would have weighed the good, but he always believed that in the methods
we don't trade lives.
We don't trade lives.
Yeah. He's got Steve Rogers has even though he does some rough things and he beats up a lot of people, there's still lines he won't cross. There's still a code in there to do the right thing. I think that John Walker wants to appear to do the right thing, but will do anything to see that his goals are met.
I think you're right. And there's also a thread going on where last episode they said we're targeting civilians, which we didn't talk about this last episode. But they said we're going to target the civilians that are helping out. And just the term targeting civilians, and then the next episode being like, I don't think they're going to sweat us.
Guy's house.
Well, I don't think they're going to sweat us if depending on how we do this. And I'm just like, going after civilians and not having a strict code of what you're allowed to do. That's dangerous territory for any hero, and much less this guy that has not been really shown to have much integrity, I guess.
He's got that Ultron mentality of like, clearly you've never made an omelet if you think that nothing has to be broken.
He beat me by 2 seconds.
I just gotta hop in here for a second, guys. Like, I thought it was like such a great character moment because like that is what differentiates him from Steve Rogers. Like, me as a person, if somebody spat in my face, I would instantly be livid. But how would Steve Rogers react to that scenario? Like, he would not react that way. So, yeah, very, very telling. And then it is a good opportunity. We've got the ethical panda, Mr. Matthew Fox here, on the subject of John Walker. He's saying, you're talking about how John Walker is a villain because he's willing to do bad things to get the job done. But out here, heroes broke Zemo out of prison and let him straight up murder a guy. I'm not sure they're that far apart on that one. So,
I agree. I don't think that I wouldn't necessarily call Winter Soldier's actions heroic either. At least he is very much willing. That's why he's not Cap either. You know what I mean? That's why I don't. There was a telling moment when Falcon was saying how he doesn't want. He was like, "What am I supposed to do? Go get the shield?" And then or whatever. And then Winter Soldier says, "It's not up to you. If you're not going to go get it, I am. I'm going to go take up the mantle." Remember that?
Well,
right.
No, he said I may have made a mistake. Or, maybe I made a mistake. I shouldn't have put it in a museum. I should have destroyed it.
Right. It's like, you can't. That's right. Sorry, I'm conflating last episode and this episode. But yeah, he said, that symbol means a lot to people. It meant a lot to Steve. It means a lot to me. I'll go take it if you're not going to. Something to that effect. Sorry. First watch. Just watched an episode. And we watched the last episode as we were getting ready for this one. So my brain's a little muddled. But
Sorry.
That's telling to me because that's when he says that, Falcon does not respond. Falcon doesn't say, "Well, you go get the shield then. You be Captain America." He kind of
go on then.
He gets quiet, and I think it's because he knows that Winter Soldier doesn't really have the purity of purpose and like the knowledge of right and wrong as he shows this episode. And that's why I think Falcon didn't make that decision to break out Zemo. He was not involved with that decision because Bucky knew that Falcon wouldn't go along with it. So he did it around his back. Now, once he's faced with the situation, he goes along. But that is the difference. That's who is Captain America. It's not John Walker. It's not Winter Soldier. Falcon is the one with that similar, like, sees the hard lines of good and bad and good and evil and decides to walk those lines,
Yeah, and he's the one that like is constantly like, "What did you do?
Yeah.
Damn it, Bucky!"
Not a perfect soldier, but a good man.
That's right.
Not a perfect soldier, but a good man is exactly it.
So good.
And I love that it takes a lot of convincing to get Sam to do, that wrong thing. And he's just like, okay. Let's stop arguing about it. Fine. But if we're going to do it, you don't make a single freaking move unless we say so.
Right.
And, he thinks he's so in control. And it's kind of funny. It's cute. But, like, he's trying to keep a rein on this bad guy. And it's really funny, and I love it. I love him for it.
Yeah.
And then, like, every time they're when they're in Madripoor and things are going sideways, like, it's Sam's trying. He's trying so hard to like not have to do bad things, and like making sure everybody's okay. And then it's like, oh god, Now we gotta get out of here. I gotta run. I can't run in these heels.
That's so good.
Heels will get you every time.
It was so good. I love also, that for how Marvel tends to stay away from racial things, and political in general, but like racial specifically, like it doesn't really even touch on it much in the movies thus far. And in every episode of the show, they've had something. And the line in this episode, they're away from America, and he starts to say he looks like a pimp or something like that. I didn't hear the line.
Yeah,
Falcon
he did say, "Why am I the only one that's dressed like a pimp?"
And he says, "Only an American would look at you and think pimp. Like you look like a stylish man who would dress like that. Like only an American would see you as a black man wearing something flashy and go pimp." And it's like, oof.
Yeah. Only an American would think a fashion forward African American is a pimp, or no, a fashion forward black man looks like a pimp. And
right.
That's, when he said that, I was kind of like, oh, my own biases. Oh, no. I didn't realize.
Luckily,
it's exposing things.
Luckily, I looked away from that moment for a second, so I didn't happen to think that. So I get away with it.
No, Matt, you don't. My ADHD saved me from being casually racist.
I don't have to acknowledge my biases today. Woo!
I get to live another day without having internal emotional conflict. Man.
This is the escapism podcast, is it not?
Yeah.
As we've said over and over, we're gonna touch on all these racial issues when they come up in the show, but it's not to say I don't love escapism, I never said that. Okay, sorry. Another line. There was a bunch of, and I'm sure we'll cover it on the feedback episode. Actually, maybe not, because that was for last week. There was a lot of talk about that scene of the cops last week with their guns drawn, coming at Bucky and Falcon. A lot of people were like, there was nothing racist there, and I even on first watch I was like, yeah, they just they see two people arguing, they come at both of them, they actually arrest Bucky, like all that stuff, and I was like, maybe there's definitely something racial. There's definitely racial overtones, but I didn't catch anything on my first viewing that was particularly racist. And then on my second viewing this morning, I caught the line that I didn't catch last time, which was one of the police officers turning to as he first walks up to the situation. They're both yelling at each other, and he talks to Bucky and says, "Is this guy bothering you?"
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that line before. That is definitely racist. Sorry. Like you are definitely walking into a situation where two men are yelling at each other and immediately taking the white guy's side.
Yep.
Not good.
While we're just on the subject of that, it's interesting to see Sam almost has a resentful acceptance to that, and it's actually Bucky is the one that gets kind of upset by that. He's like, "Do you know who he is? Who you're talking to this guy? No, I don't. No, he's not bothering me. This is the Falcon. Come on."
Right. Well, that's the thing that I think that all of this racial stuff is pushing towards. And I've noticed that all of the really racially tinged moments in this show have related to the fact that Falcon is an exception, not the rule. And all of these responses that you see Anthony Mackie's he always gets kind of quiet and he gets this look on his face. And I think there's some sort of I am not a black man. And I'm not speaking for anyone of color, but it seems to me that he feels almost guilty for getting that exception, Right.
Well, I would think it always seems to me like he's pissed off that the celebrity status that he has is the only thing that gets him out of those situations, or that gets him any kind of pull with anybody. It can't just be that he, as a black man, as a man in America, has his own value
and his own rights.
It has to be his right and his own rights. It has to be his celebrity status that gives him anything. And that pisses him off, pisses me off, Matt.
Absolutely. Me too. But I think there's something more than just pissed off. I think there's a little bit of that's like survivor's guilt. There's a little bit of celebrity guilt where he's like, I'm getting away from these things that my community and my family has dealt with. And if I took up the mantle of Captain America, I think it might tie into why he didn't want to pick up the shield. Because he's like, right. If I ascend to Captain America, I become this symbol of America that my family can't even fully take part in the same way, Right. And I think there's a little bit of that going on. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I still am leaning hard on it's about building his own legacy and his own, his own identity as a hero, and not just taking something handed to him by, some white guy. But there's also, the fact that a lot of people of color don't feel like America stands for them, Yeah. So,
and that's the question. I think this show is going to end with him taking up the shield, though. Which is why absolutely. When you talk about, we talked about this before, but you talk about the fact that it's about him not wanting to take up another man's legacy, because I think that he will. I think at the end of the story he will, and so I don't know that that's the story they're telling. I think it has something to do with the way what he perceives his legacy to be if he does that, and he what legacy he's taking up, because he definitely wants to take up his father's legacy, There's definitely something in them that wants to take up a legacy, but it's about whose legacy is he choosing, and what does it mean for him if he almost chooses a legacy outside his community that will abandon his community and not if he's not going to fight for them or something. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. And
it's extremely nuanced.
It is, and part of it is every time it comes up, Anthony Mackie's character clams up. Sam clams up, and he just looks very fraught. And I think there's eventually going to be a breaking point where he speaks, and we're going to understand exactly where he's coming from. But that hasn't happened yet, and we're 3 episodes in. I think that's going to be closer to the end.
Yeah,
I want to know what happened and why he didn't take up the shield.
Yeah, well, in the therapy session with Bucky, he says, I understand that this is not something that you or Steve would ever understand, but can you just trust me that I thought that I was doing the right thing?
Exactly.
It's very much an internal struggle for him, and he does not think that anybody else is going to understand what he's going through. You can see it all over his face. So because nobody else is going to identify with him,
at least not those 200-year-old white dudes.
Right. And and because these people aren't going to understand his perspective and have any empathy that he needs, might as well just say, I got this, let's move on. Can we just squash it for now?
Right.
Yeah. And it's worth bringing up, it wasn't a major focal point for this episode, but in terms of Sam dealing with being conflicted about the nature of which legacy he wants to, embrace, and if it is the legacy of the Shield, he is still dealing with the fallout that legacy has been further tainted by the revelation of Isaiah Bradley. So, does he want to be the first, well, he's not technically a super soldier now, but maybe that's still on the table. Maybe he could be, but does he want to be, the first Black Captain America, knowing that Isaiah Bradley was technically the first? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which that's, oh, by the way, I've mentioned it on the past, the Isaiah Bradley thing, and we've mentioned it, and I have told the story wrong. Apparently, I've told the story that, and I thought this was the case in comics, that they had tested the super soldier serum, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, before they made Captain America. That is not the story from comics. I found out this week, I was watching videos, and it's actually the opposite. After Captain America, they tried to recreate the super soldier serum in comics, and that's when Isaiah Bradley was created. So we talked about it last week or the week before, and that is not what happened. It was because we were talking about how that would complicate Erskine's legacy, and it wouldn't, because it was after Erskine was dead that the government was trying to recreate.
Erskine's still pure.
Yeah, they kept Erskine intact in this particular scenario.
Yeah. Well, the way that they tell it in the Young Avengers, with the way that Patriot tells his grandfather's story, seems to suggest that Isaiah Bradley was before Steve Rogers.
I
that's the way I think that's the way we read it.
That may be. I was listening to some YouTubers this week, and they all said the opposite way. And I was like, okay, we must have gotten that backwards, or it's been retconned in comics. I'm not sure, or it's been told multiple different ways. That's definitely possible.
I mean, it could just be, the reliability of the narrator was skewed, flawed.
Elijah might not have known everything.
Right, Elijah probably didn't know everything. But in the comic that Isaiah Bradley came from is called Truth, Red, White, and Black, and it is available on Marvel Unlimited. So we need to go read that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely check that out for sure. The last thing is we haven't talked about the appearance of a Wakandan at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah, one of the Dora Milaje.
Dora Milaje shows up. I like it. We need more badass women in this show.
Yeah, that's got so many implications to it. I mean, there was foreshadowing for it, too, because Sam said, do you think the Wakandans forgot? Zemo killed King T'Chaka and framed you for it. Do you think that the Wakandans forgot that? Spoiler alert, they didn't.
Nope. They're right there. They're ready to go.
Yep. And then, we had enough time to forget about that. And then at the end of the episode, there she is. We're like, oh, shit. Sam was right.
Yeah. That's exciting. And I wonder if we'll find anything about what's going on in Wakanda at all, especially with the death of Chadwick Boseman. Will we find anything out about the king and what's happened with him since Endgame? I'm curious if we'll know anything about what's going on in Wakanda. I could see them using this to set up the fact that there'll be a transition of kings, or I don't know. Probably not. It's probably too small of a thing. They'll probably wait until the Black Panther 2 to really flesh that out. But I don't know. Just thought it might be a way they could start introducing that idea.
Yeah, I've been following the articles that keep popping up that are talking about Ryan Coogler working on Black Panther 2 right now, and everything I keep seeing is him being asked about, what are you doing without Chadwick Boseman? Is it right or wrong to do it without Chadwick Boseman? And the most recent thing I saw was Chadwick Boseman would not have wanted us to stop because of him. He would have wanted us to keep going,
right,
and keep telling these kinds of stories. And he would have.
I think there's just way more at stake making that movie than Chadwick Boseman as a person. That movie was bigger than Chadwick Boseman, as wonderful as he was, and as great as he was in the role, and as sad as I am to see him go. There's a lot of characters to follow up with in a Black Panther 2, and there's there's a lot of story to tell that needs telling in Wakanda. So I definitely think there's nothing wrong with continuing it. But I'm the guy who always is up for continuing a story. I was the guy who's just do the Joker without Heath Ledger. Just do it. I know he just died, but just do it.
Do it, cowards.
Just to give a little credit to that character and the actress that portrayed her, it was Ayo, who we first saw in Civil War, portrayed by Florence Akimbe. And
okay.
Got to give some credit to BVK because he remembered the character's name. I could remember the actress's name, but not the character's name. So together we made it happen.
Nice, nice.
She was the one that said, move or you will be moved.
Yeah, I like it. Yep. I like it.
Nice.
I love so much that we're getting, the appropriate characters coming back in the appropriate ways. We first saw Zemo in Civil War, and we first saw her in Civil War. Mm-hmm. We had Sharon Carter, come about doing her thing in Civil War and really affected in Civil War, and then here she comes back right when Zemo comes back. It's all so perfect. I mean, it's also perfect.
This is almost just like Cap 4. You know what I mean? It's very much like a Cap movie.
This is Cap 4, the epilogue.
Yeah, what happened to all the other characters?
The legacy
that were in Cap movies that we never got their own stories told, and now we're getting those stories, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
And I was thinking for like a brief moment, do you think if Chadwick Boseman had not passed away, would he be the one that is showing up in the street? But I like that it's her.
Yeah, that would have been amazing but I don't. Yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see the king coming for the person who killed his father, but yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Thinking about it though, he made his peace, right?
Right.
Like
he was no longer out for
almost
vengeance.
killed the wrong man. Right.
Yeah.
He's no longer out for vengeance. He was just trying to put this guy away. The living are not yet done with you.
Right.
Oh, it's such a good line.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's resonating here in that, the living are not yet done with you. The Wakandans are really not yet done with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to get skinned alive, Zemo.
Well, there's that line before that I always really love, where he's just talking. I don't remember the actual line, but it's something to the effect of like, you've wasted so much time consumed with vengeance, and those two in there are fighting each other, consumed with vengeance. And like, he learns that lesson in that moment, that I'm not going to let myself be so consumed by vengeance. I'm going to ascend what you guys are fighting over, and like save you in this moment. And it's so good.
God,
what a
Black
great
Panther,
moment.
like T'Challa is like thinking about that line, and then thinking about how he reacted to the past kings in the movie. Like, he's all about breaking the cycle and building a better legacy. Like,
he's very wise.
He's such a good character. Yeah, he's such a
T'Challa
good
is incredibly
character.
wise.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And Chadwick Boseman did such an incredible job, portraying that stoicism or stoic nature. I don't know if stoicism is a word. But,
he did. When I first watched the movie, I was like, he's kind of a blank slate. Like, everyone else in the movie is very interesting and like kind of flashy. Like, I really love Okoye and I really love Shuri. But on subsequent watches, and especially since his death, and like realizing the sort of like the generosity of that performance.
We got Haley Hobbs coming in hot to correct us on a couple things. Regal is definitely a better descriptor than stoic. You're right. And then she actually got that quote for us that you were referring to from Civil War. So, revenge has consumed you. It is consuming them. I will not let it consume me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Haley Hobbs. You're the best. Love you, 300.
Yeah, don't know if I can trust her. She mistyped 300. Or sorry, mistyped 3,000. Anyway.
I knew what you meant.
I wanted to mention that we got to see Zemo being a more physical badass and not just a mental badass in this episode.
That's true.
He got his, like, he put the mask on, he shot the thing, and then, like, jumped down and was like, all right, I got to get my hands dirty, and just obliterated those three guys. Like, it was not even close.
But through, like, tactical awareness, which is his thing. Like,
his precision was so, like, incredible to watch. And, it really solidified, like, this guy is a threat. This guy's a real threat in the MCU. I was so happy with.
Yeah, me too. Let's get to the chat then. What you got, Jay Scotty? What you get? What are the people saying?
Yeah, we've got some good stuff to get into here. So, on the subject of Mr. Baron Zemo, Nathaniel Muzzy Nat in the chat, he says his only minor gripe with Zemo is why was a Baron working for a Sokovian kill squad? Try saying that 3 times fast. Doesn't mesh up super well for me. But then Haley did kind of respond right back to that, and she said, I wondered about that as well. Perhaps the kill squad info was a plant in Civil War, and in this episode he just makes it sound like he's going after the super soldier stuff was in his bag for longer than just Civil War. Maybe a privately funded venture.
Could be.
That's possible. I would also say that it is very common for leadership in the government of various countries, including America, to go into the military for a period. It ingratiates you to the public. It allows you to say you had military service when you want to take a leadership role later. So a lot of these, like a lot of senators, a lot of presidents, they all have military service because it like shows their patriotism, and then they go on to do other things. So it's very, and like I think a kill squad feels like maybe not where that would be, but like maybe he joined the military and he was proficient in a way that like took him to a Sokovian kill squad. I don't know.
That's entirely possible. Because I think it was the CIA people that said that he was in the Sokovian kill squad. Like, they probably didn't think that that's what it was, in Sokovia or on the team. It was probably just a special ops team for them.
Right. Exactly. Like it's something that he might have been. Maybe it's something just like he was trying to destroy the Avengers for his countrymen, whereas like all of us, and including everyone that like in that world probably was like, why would you destroy the Avengers? Like he has his purposes for his people.
No.
Yeah.
Well, there was a fair amount of chatter as well comparing Zemo to, especially in the version that we're seeing in this series, that he's a lot more like a Bond villain. And Mr. Matthew Fox, again here, he's mentioning that a lot of British nobles joined MI5, a strong sense of patriotism and duty. So,
yeah, I definitely see the parallels there. Like he's definitely got the Bond villain vibe of being, just such a presence that is, like I said earlier, he's completely in control of the room.
Yeah,
and the information flowing around him.
This absolutely feels like the movie where Bond has to work with one of his greatest nemesis to like bring in a new threat or something. Which,
right.
I don't even know if that's ever happened, but like it just feels so. He feels so much like a Bond villain. Like just the aristocratic nature of him, and like him on that private jet. Yeah. Oh, that his discussion of Trouble Man and Sam's like shocking. The shocked look on Sam's face when he like agreed fully with the words coming out of his mouth, but disagreed fully with the mouth they were coming from. Like it's so good. That little moment was everything to me in this episode when he's like, "Trouble Man, yes, it is a masterpiece. It epitomizes the African American experience perfectly, or it captures the African American experience perfectly." And he's like, "You're not wrong, but you're way out of line."
Yeah, he's out of line, but he's right. I love that line so much. Yep. Oh my god!
I didn't know that I needed him. I didn't know that I needed Zemo to really complete this sort of trio that's going on. Like I like Falcon and Winter Soldier together. I absolutely love the three of them together, and like Zemo's so charismatic. It's so much fun. I didn't expect that either.
Yep, and like the watching Falcon and Winter Soldier quip at each other while Zemo's just like smirking in the background, like, oh, look at them, they love each other so much. Like,
well, there's that, but I also think he's all of that. He's both ingratiating himself a little bit by showing depth and understanding, and he's like playing them off of each other and understanding their dynamic more. There's all this stuff going on with Zemo just like understanding these two people, and you can absolutely see him laying the groundwork for his escape and his, defeating of them later, if he needs to.
Yeah, he does a great job of like planting seeds of doubt in that scene in Madripoor when, Bucky is going all Winter Soldier, and then Zemo just has that little side comment to Sam, like, how quickly he can return to old form. And then before that scene even ends, Sam is asking Bucky, like, you good? You cool? Like, so it's definitely there. Puppet master. Yeah. Haley Hobbs is calling total puppet master.
Yeah. Was that scene, was the Madripoor scene where he pretends to be his old self? Was that before or after he talks about destroying the shield and how he wants it? It was before? The Madripoor scene was before? Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because I took Anthony Mackie's face to mean, like, as I mentioned earlier, like, you might not be the guy. Like, I would take it before I would let you have it, kind of thing, which felt a little like, I don't know, that's how I took it. And it's interesting that it was right after he saw him go all crazy in the nightclub.
Oh yeah.
If that's the case, we're already seeing a little bit of like daylight between them being brought about by the tactics being chosen by Zemo. Like Zemo is already sowing doubt in his mind. It's so good. So good.
Yep. It is so great. Touching on that scene in the club or in the bar, whatever it was in Madripoor, the Winter Soldier music came back from Captain America: The Winter Soldier from Cap 2, and that screech, that high pitched wail when he's going all just full Winter Soldier, and
it was scary.
It was.
It's right. It builds so much tension, and it's so amazing. In the moment, the first time I watched it, because this past watch was the second. I watched it when
it came out in the middle of the night,
53 a.m. something like that. But I watched it early this morning, and right then when that music hit, I was like, "Oh shit, that's the music!" Oh yes.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That scream still gives me chills every time when he slammed the dude on the bar top, and then that scream just came in perfectly when the action stopped. Oh man, so good.
Yeah, and it carried and just kind of lingered,
and
it was it's so good. That music is so good. Henry Jackman is a legend.
Yes, he is. Well, before we completely move on from Zemo to some of the other characters and villains, it would not be an MCU podcast if there wasn't some rampant and wild speculation. So we got Vermilion One hitting us with, and Bond villain Mads Mikkelsen was in Doctor Strange, which is opening up the multiverse of madness. Zephisto confirmed.
Okay.
So he's opening the multiverse. Maybe we'll get Bond crossing over. There was
you know what?
There was that leaked thing of Bruce Campbell showing Ash coming into Multiverse of Madness. Ash from Evil Dead. I love it.
It's very suspect that dropped on April 1st.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's real. I think it's fully real.
Something that kind of did bug me about the whole Zemo prison breakout thing is how did he get out of his cell?
Oh, he gave him a key card thing.
He was reading Machiavelli, yeah.
Does the key card work from the inside, though?
I don't know, but I would assume it would have to for this plot to work, so sure.
I mean, yeah, for this plot to work, but what if, follow me on this one, Zemo's been in that prison cell for 7 years, right? Give or take?
Mm-hmm.
And he has been conscious for all of it, as he said. But what if he's making deals with somebody to get out of there?
Absolutely. I mean, he is a master manipulator. I'm sure he had some contingencies in place, whether or not they were multi-dimensional, extra-dimensional deals or not. Yep.
That's how he maintained all of his money still. His assets weren't frozen because Mephisto had them just sitting waiting for him.
Oh, okay. We're going to Mephisto. I see.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Okay. Matt, why wouldn't we go to Mephisto? That's where we're supposed to go.
So many reasons. What else you got, Jay Scotty?
All right, yeah. So we can move on to another character here that finally got their debut, and that was Sharon Carter. So we're getting a lot of speculation regarding her. And Rob Breeze hits us with the theory that she might be Power Broker. He's asking if anybody else thinks that. She showed up right in time to help them, and she was teaming with them. Is selling black market gold. I'm assuming he means here. Excuse me. Could that include the blue juice, which is the serum?
Absolutely.
And then Mama Hale, Boss Mama, she comes in and says, "I don't know if I buy into Sharon being Power Broker. She helped them find Nagel. Seems like she would have steered them elsewhere if she was the Power Broker."
Well, she also might not have thought they would kill him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she didn't think that they would end up killing him. The first thing that she does whenever she meets up with them is to get Zemo to drop his gun.
Mm-hmm.
And Zemo kind of goes around in various places and probably picks up all kinds of other guns because it's Madripoor. But
just guns.
They didn't. Actually, no, he didn't have a gun. There was whenever they were questioning Nagel, Zemo was walking around the lab feeling under stuff. Like he was feeling under the counters and stuff.
Right.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jay Scotty. Here you go. I forgot to switch scenes. Here you go, Jay Scotty. Come on back.
Come on back. Get out of your cave. But yeah, Zemo was feeling around under the tables and everything. Like Nagel had a gun somewhere and Zemo found it and pulled it out and killed him with it. Like that's what happened.
Yeah, I think her being
noised.
Power Broker, or at least working for Power Broker, is pretty likely. Like, she's a skilled agent, and she's ended up in Madripoor, and seems to not have, allegiances anymore. So, of course, she's probably going to be tied to the power there. Unless this was all a front, and she's still CIA. I don't know if I'd like that. But it's possible.
Oh man, like the CIA set her up as the power broker?
Yeah, or she's over there pretending to be Sharon Carter, like, cut loose and in a bad situation, and that's how she's like sort of infiltrating their little gang. I don't know.
No.
What you got? Hold on. If you say Mephisto,
She's
I'm
a
very
Skrull.
upset. Oh, Skrull. Okay.
She's a Skrull.
Okay.
She's a Skrull. That's the secret invasion.
We do know, it's supposed to lead into three different
series
properties. So secret invasion is definitely on the table.
I really don't want her to be the Skrull, and I really don't want her to be I don't want her to be CIA. I would like her to be the Power Broker or Sharon Carter brought so low to work for the Power Broker. I really like this character development they've set up for her.
Yeah, as long as Emily Van Camp's been playing the character, and these series have been opportunities for these like side characters to be fully fleshed out. I would be totally down for her being a Skrull, just in terms of like embracing the comics source material. But I do think Emily Van Camp and the character of Sharon Carter are a little more deserving than that. Route.
I like the idea though of the CIA setting her up as the power broker, because that further drives home that whole the government set up Captain America with their asshole Captain America. They set up John Walker as the new Cap. Like it looks like it very easily could lead into Sharon Walker got set up as Sharon Carter got set up as the power broker. And that was just to kind of ingratiate her into that world, or maybe just to have like a way that they could generate super soldier serum, for their people without saying that like they're doing that as a government program, and it would further drive home that the point I was coming to eventually in a roundabout way is that it further sets up the government is a bad entity and we can't trust the government thing.
Right.
That like setting up, your new Captain America was kind of leading us toward.
Well, we've talked about the idea that like the Flag Smashers could be like a false flag operation.
Right.
And like it could be the government trying to give Cap someone to fight, and then they have the actual power, or it's all an act or something. I don't think after this episode, we haven't really talked about the Flag Smashers much, and that character. But that was a really intense scene too. Carly Morgenthau, like her character, seems to be really genuine and really want to do the right thing. But then she blew up a house with a bunch of people in it. But the interesting thing is, her friend was shocked by this, which means like this is sort of new behavior. She says in the previous episode, after tomorrow, there's no turning back. And I think this was the action she's talking about. Like she's willing to go this far, and now she's crossed the line,
Yeah. First off, about the compound that they went to, like that was a GRC storage facility. Mm-hmm. Like that was a resources depot, is what they called it. It might have been a house, but it wasn't being used as a house. But it had a logo on the front of it that was a blue circle with a red X and a red circle around that X, and I was like, X-Men confirmed, right?
Yeah, definitely an X-Men compound.
But like the fact that she blew up her car and set the building on fire and everything, like, and the fact that she said like the words that she said in response to her friend saying there's still people in there are, this is the only language these people understand.
Mm-hmm.
It really opened us up on that character and really kind of, showed that like maybe I feel like a police negotiator. Like, I really want to be on your side, Carly, but you gotta work with me here.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta give me something.
For the moment, she's talking about how they're doing. We got to remember why we're doing this, and we're doing this to help the little guy, and like all these people aren't eating. I was like, maybe she's gonna be the new Cap.
Oh wow.
She just it reminded me of like that kind of heroic language of like, no, we're doing this. We're gonna fight for the little guy. We're gonna help him out. We're gonna do the right thing. These people, we're turning on the government because it says like, hey, that sounds pretty Capish to me. I didn't really think she was gonna be the new Cap, but I was like, she's who's a hero in this story? For a second, it was like, oh, maybe she is, and then then
she blew up a building.
Blew up a building with people in it, shocking her friend and making him a party to the actions that she's taking as well.
I wondered in that moment, and maybe it's getting too convoluted for this series, but did she put the bomb in the car, or did she just simply know that it was there and let it go off because she knows the power broker is trying to kill her? And kind of, if you take that line as like, this is the only way these people are going to learn, is like, if you take the first step, there's going to be collateral fallout, and we're not going to, necessarily be the ones to save your people. But that was just kind of the way I thought it was a potential way the scene might have played out.
Possible. It takes a little bit of her agency in the situation away. It seems to me
that's
like
true. That's
driving home the point that she's like, no, she's deciding to do a bad thing. Like, she might have good reasons. They've set her up with all these good reasons, but she is deciding to do evil. She's a terrorist.
I feel like she's the Killmonger of this series. Okay. Of like, she's trying to do the right thing. She's trying to do a good thing, but going about it all the wrong ways. And she's winning the moral argument, but needs to be corrected on her methods. On the opposite side of that coin, John Walker is not winning the moral argument and doing all the wrong things.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. He's definitely just seeming more and more like a dick, and more like he doesn't have like that solid moral compass that a Cap needs. A good man. He doesn't seem like a good man. He seems like a fine dude, but not a good man.
A fine dude, but not a good man.
Yeah.
We do have some feedback regarding Walker, as we always do, aka Dollar General America. Rob Breeze, our resident veteran, has some experience with the military, obviously. He says Walker pulling rank is a very telling negative piece of his personality. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sure Rob has experienced that firsthand.
I mean, if you got to tell people you're the boss, you're not the boss.
Yeah.
Like, the people who say I'm in charge are not in charge.
Or the times you shouldn't be the boss. Like, you're not leading by example. You're not leading you're forcing your leadership, and that's a bad sign. Last episode, when they were like, who had him released? Talking about Winter Soldier, and he goes, It looks like people should be proud of him,
right?
For having him released, and everyone's mad at him for having him released, and he's like, me? Look at what I did. I'm such a good guy. Like, you're not.
Come on.
You just seem like you're seeking out praise and not really like understanding the moral things you should be doing or the tactics you should be using, like you said.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've also got Boss Mama coming back with, she has a strong feeling Walker's going to take some of the serum. He's obviously not powered now, but I feel like he's going to take it knowing that he can't really fight anyone.
Well, I mean, they did a study of his body at MIT, and he tested off the charts in everything.
That's a good call. I think he's going to take the serum. That's a good call. I've been wondering who's going to get the serum. I meant to ask that earlier. Like, there's 20 of these vials. We've only seen 5 Flag Smashers so far.
8.
Right? 8? 8
they
total?
said 8 over and over again.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've only seen this episode once.
They said 8 in the last episode.
I've only seen that episode twice. And I've only seen it once today, okay?
But I've slept since then.
But that opens up 12 Captain America level heroes or villains power level that could be introduced into this universe. Either now or later. This season could end with like some of those vials falling off the back of a truck and somebody picking them up.
Elijah, Wicked Patriot.
Yeah.
The thing that stuck out to me about that is that when Carly said that Naga was killed in Madripoor, she didn't say, like, we're the only people left that have the serum in us or whatever. Like, she didn't say anything like that. She said, we have the only remaining serum. It hinted to me that they probably have, like, a few vials left. Even if it's more than 8 that people that have taken it, they likely still have some left. I'm thinking Sam, because he gets the super soldier serum in the comics when he takes on the mantle of Captain America.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm thinking Sam. I'm thinking John Walker. And I'm thinking maybe Hoskins, because he gets super strength in the comics.
I'm thinking...
And Torres. I like Torres for it.
You're not thinking Elijah? I mean, we've got so much set up for Young Avengers.
He gets a transfusion.
Oh, the transfusion. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They could adapt it differently here, though.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it has to be exactly like this.
Jeff's like, here's my guess on who gets the super soldier serum. List of people in the comics that got the super soldier serum, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
The rest of it gets destroyed.
I think that Elijah would be really fun, and they've set him up in this show in an interesting way where, like, we saw him for a second, but we really didn't get to know him at all, So I think Elijah would be really fun to go ahead and give some superpowers to, like if he got in on this action, I know. Sharon Carter wants that super soldier serum. If she's the power broker and she set up this whole thing, you don't think her main goal was to give it to herself?
He made 20 vials, though.
Right. She's the power broker. If she's the power broker, she's the power broker, right? Like, she spent 7 years becoming the king of this little land. The only flaw there is, how does Zemo know the power broker exists if he was in jail all that time? But maybe he heard through the grapevine.
Well, it could be like the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, that's true. That's
a great reference.
Yeah, she killed the power broker, took his face off, put it on hers.
That's not how the Dread Pirate Roberts works.
Isn't it?
I think you're thinking of Face Off, maybe the Joker.
Or maybe Silence of the Lambs.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
That guy's so good.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be just a mantle that gets passed on.
Anyway, I think Sharon Carter gets the serum. I'm calling it now. I think Sharon Carter maybe made the serum happen because she knew about the CIA program. We already know that. So she knew about the CIA program. She brought it over here, got it started, and now she has been waiting 7 years for her dose of super soldier serum, and then it gets taken away from her at the last second, and she is tracking down Carly, and that's going to be a big tension going forward. I think it's pretty likely.
Hey, Scotty, you ready for, like, the best pun ever?
Let's hear it.
Power broke her.
Oh, man.
Cut the feed. We're done here.
Yeah. You're lucky it was me and not Ash here.
Oh, yeah. She would have been so mad.
I can't top that.
You can't recover from that. We just have to end it.
Got one or two more?
Yeah, well, just while we're back on Sharon, I did want to hit Matthew Fox's additional feedback that kind of goes into the nature of her pardon. He says his sense is that people got pardoned for saving the world and all the goodwill that was generated, not because the government was trying to do the right thing. Sharon wasn't part of the in-game battle, so it tracks that she'd be forgotten. And it does kind of speak to what Jeff was talking about, this whole series positioning government organizations as being the ultimate big bad.
I would agree with that, except Captain America was on the wrong side of Civil War. He was being chased down and all this stuff, but he seemed involved with whatever the Avengers team that was still fighting for the world with Natasha and Okoye and Rocket, and maybe that was a secret Avengers. Maybe that's what that whole thing was like this sort of secret Avengers that's going on. But it seems like, why wouldn't they bring Sharon Carter into that? Why wouldn't they make her part of the team that eventually fights in the in-game battle? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm having trouble reconciling Cap here, because if Sharon didn't go away for 5 years and Cap also didn't go away, then like, why did he not reach out to her? Why didn't he try to bring her back into the fold? Because like Cap wasn't hiding. He was running an outreach, or he was running the therapy sessions, right? Like
That's true.
He was
Cap
there
was
with
not
everybody.
hiding.
Yeah, he was just in the circle there. Like, we all got to move on. We got to, try to, take it day by day. We're all trying to do our best here.
It's a really interesting question. Well, that's after Infinity War, though. I don't know. I don't see him getting pardoned for not stopping Thanos. I feel like that was like further.
You did your best.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. But like, that was during the blip. I could see, like, with all the government shakeup and everything, and the world changing so much, him getting pardoned somehow. But maybe he just like volunteer, like, the world needs me, pardon me, and I want to come back and fight for the world or whatever. I don't know. But I don't know. It is weird. There's some weirdness going on there. And Sharon Carter, it's a totally valid reason. This is Wrath of Khan, right? No? Nobody? Wrath of Khan? Wrath of Khan, there's a Star Trek episode called Space Seed. Okay. And in Space Seed, they leave. They encounter a group of superhuman people, similar to the Flag Smashers, and they fight them. And then they leave them. They want to take over the universe. And he's like, no, but what you've always wanted is your own place. And Kirk strands them on a planet and says, you can have this planet. It's yours. It's a harsh planet, but you are superhumans and you're going to conquer this world. Go ahead and conquer your world. As he leaves them a world to conquer. And then 20 years later, Wrath of Khan happens. And the plot of it is, those super soldiers have been on that world for years, and Kirk never came back to look it for them. And now they basically, some bad things happened to them. It was a very hard time for them. And they come back and just on a vengeance quest for Kirk. And so that's the plot of Wrath of Khan. It's a great movie, but that's what this is. It's like they abandoned Sharon Carter. They didn't think to help her. And now she's like coming back for them. Sorry, that was a long way to go for that reference, but I figured people would get it.
You're good. I had the cursory knowledge of that, but hearing you go through it definitely helped jog my memory. But yeah, no, I do think that is a pretty apt analogy. But there may be an element that kind of undoes it. Unfortunately, Boss Mama is reminding us, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't it confirmed by one of the writers that Sharon was snapped?
I don't know.
No. Okay.
Even still,
I don't remember.
if she was snapped, that still leaves her 2 years since Civil War to have been like working on becoming the power broker. Or
that's fair.
Working on getting power over there, or like learning about the lay of the land in Madripoor. And then, like, if she snapped back, I don't know though. I was not sure about that, Boss Mama. I did not know that.
She does provide additional feedback that it was the in-game writers and not the Falcon and the Winter Soldier writers. So
but they never confirmed it on screen. So
yeah,
who knows?
That's not the first time people have disagreed with Marcus and McFeely. Looking at you, Russo brothers. But
the directors of the movie and the writers don't believe the same thing. You can't really, basically, you can't trust writers unless they put it on the screen, because then they still have room to wiggle their way out of it and do something different.
Yeah.
Especially when they're not writing everything. The Marvel team can definitely say, nah, she wasn't snapped. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
All right. Well, we have been gone a little longer than normal, and I have to edit this, and I also wanted to wrap up here and say something at the end. I did want to bring something up that Jeff did, and he threw out that thing threw out the shout out on last week's podcast. But I don't know. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast. Before we started, I talked about how insane my setup is right now because I'm using my phone for one piece of audio and I'm using Bluetooth for another, and I've got a USB device over here for audio, and it's all plugged in or being routed to this really old computer right now that is not handling it amazingly, but we're getting by. So last week my computer crashed. I thought I could move over to this old laptop for a little while until I could afford a computer. This old laptop is only half working. It's processing the information to send out to the stream and to record, but that's all it can do. So I've got all kinds of workarounds happening. But Jeff was very sweet to start a GoFundMe to get me a new computer so we can keep making these podcasts at a regular pace. And keep doing all the video stuff that we've been doing. So, and a lot of you guys gave to that, and I just want to say thank you. And I'm sorry I haven't said thank you sooner. I know a lot of you know. I think part of the reason a lot of you probably gave is I'm also going through a lot right now with my mom, and everything. You guys have heard me talk about it all year. Lost multiple family members to COVID and other things. And lost my job, and my job's been cut a lot because of the COVID, and my mom has been injured and in the hospital. Just dealing with a whole lot. I'm learning to be her caregiver this week, and the generosity of all the pandas to help me get back to fully functional with the computer. I had an old it's a 6-year-old computer that just gave up the ghost, and now I'm using like a 10-year-old laptop that's even less powerful. And doing all of this it was already very time consuming, and it's very time consuming now. And getting a new computer is pretty essential to us being able to do this. And I was about to just throw it on a credit card, even though I've been working all year to get out of debt. But this community and this podcast is incredibly important to me. And so I was willing to do that. And I just want to say thank you guys for being willing to chip in because a lot of you have done the GoFundMe. Some people have even done Cash App and Venmo and all that. I just thank you so much. It's a huge thing. It's been we're halfway to the original goal, and I've been talking to Zoo about some other options. We're not sure which option we're going with yet, but I'm talking about some other computer options that might even if we only raise some of the money, we might be able to get a setup that will work. So that's very exciting. Thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry I've not been in communication. Just to keep you updated on my life, about an hour before the podcast started, an ambulance had to come pick up my mom. So that's a whole nother thing. But she's okay. She didn't fall or have any trauma. She couldn't move this morning. Her body just wouldn't. She had a spinal cord injury, and she's been getting better. And yesterday she got way worse. And then this morning she was just couldn't move her body and couldn't do anything for herself. And I was trying to literally carry her from room to room, and it just wasn't. Anyway, so we had to call the ambulance to come get her. So my mom's at the hospital again. So I don't know. It's just more and more things keep happening on that end of stuff. And I just appreciate you guys being so generous to get us back to where this escapist podcast that I do can keep being the fun escapist thing and not be an 8-hour editing slog because I'm dealing with the spinning wheel all the time. So I can't even. I don't know. I've said it. I've already thanked you guys so much this year for so many things, and I'm embarrassed by how much support I've been given by you guys, and I just thank you. Thank you. I can't even. I get emotional thinking about it, and I can't even say words that would mean enough. And again, I haven't had time because I've been dealing with all this to even write everybody a personal thank you yet. And Jeff has been writing personal thank yous, and I appreciate that, Jeff, because
I got you, buddy.
Dealing with all this stuff. So
you got a lot on your plate right now. Happy to take some of it off. So
thank you for all of that. And I guess we'll put the GoFundMe thing in the show notes again. If anybody wants to give, but we're going to figure it out. a lot of you have already given to the point that we know we're going to be able to figure it out. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. But thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jay Scotty.
Thank you, man. What
course.
you do is invaluable to this community, and a lot of people don't see what happens behind the scenes, but both of you guys, you have your personal lives, your work lives, and you do all this stuff for the community. So I don't want to make anybody cry or kiss too much ass here, but really appreciate you guys, all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. It means a lot.
But Jeff hasn't got to say his catchphrase this week to Jay Scotty.
Get your lips off my ass, Jay Scotty. I love that the noise is going to be in there. That's my favorite part.
All right. For real, I love you all 3,000. That goes to Jay Scotty and to Jeff and all of the pandas out there listening. Thanks for joining us for the MCU cast this week, and thank you for all the support to get us back to full strength here at Panda Control Headquarters. Whatever.
Panda Central.
Panda HQ. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
Which is the computer that I carry around. That's it's not a place. Panda HQ is the computer that I carry around from city to city because I'm living in 3 cities right now.
I thought it was in our hearts.
Stranded Panda is not a place. It's a people.
It's a people.
Yeah, good. That's very true. Very true. All right. Much love. Peace.
Later.
Until next time, true believers.
Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.